Suzy,
Hello.
we've been stood up.
Oh,
This is the first live stream I've ever done,
I'm a bad luck.
and we've been stood up.
I'm a bad luck.
Our guest fell off the edge. He's gone. We had loads of tabs ready to talk to him about. We had all sorts ready.
Maybe he's just like had an epiphany and seen Sons and been like, oh, I don't need this. I'll go and watch telly instead.
Oh, that's what flat means.
Had the words backwards, I see.
Yeah, so I like to have half an idea before I do a podcast about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
There isn't even fucking half an idea here
No.
left, well and truly in the shit.
It's not even like anything interesting's happened because we've been stuck in.
Not at all.
Yeah, he's gone. What happens if he just turns up now? Will he just arrive in here?
If he turns up, I'm sure the thing will tell us that he's here. But I don't know.
Bizarre that. I wonder what things these people do in their in their spare time. Like, what could he be busy doing?
I think he probably fell asleep. I feel pretty tired today. You know, if I was hanging around waiting for somebody, I might have just drifted off.
Oh. Yeah, but if you were wanting to preach, or if you were wanting to come on here and talk about, like, sell wrestling to people, you would be like, oh, hyped up.
I mean, there's things I'm more passionate about than pro wrestling, but
yeah, but like if it was that or sleeping, if it was like coming in and like sharing your wrestling joy to the world,
especially if I felt like you don't believe that wrestling's a sport for a start.
Not a sport, but okay.
You know, so if there was people that are like as misguided as yourself, then I suppose I'd be ready for it.
It's not a sport.
It is a sport.
It's not a sport.
Of course, it's a sport.
It's not a sport.
It's a sport.
No, it's not. Why is it a sport?
What?
What?
Because they do athletic stuff.
They pretend to hit each other. I can't.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, watching. Feel like a moth on the ceiling. It's a bit high, that. Oh, he's here. He's here. It just made a bloop. Shall I click this button? The Skype button.
Or maybe he's here.
He's having troubles.
Oh, he's having trouble. Good, right.
This would be the minimum of my troubles if I was a flat earth fanatic. What would you like me to say to that? I understand.
Just say just tell him we're already live, and to click it when he's got it. Meanwhile, we shall fill
Bants about wrestling.
If anyone in the comments can tell us if the level's all right, that'd be handy.
Can they start sending in funny video ideas for the next one?
I always think, I always think I don't plan podcasts until I actually have to do a podcast where I haven't done any planning. And now I suddenly realise the planning I normally do.
Yeah, just thinking. Even thinking is planning. Yeah. I think I'm all in for the funny YouTube videos, I feel like.
Hit me with one then.
Well, I have to think about which ones are appropriate.
Oh, they're all appropriate.
Oh, you said this last time, then I went and bashed like 12 sets of unbashable people, and then you're like, well, it's your career you're destroying. I was like,
I don't mind. I mean, realistically, being on YouTube, I'm only on YouTube so they can throw me off it at some point.
Yeah, I don't want to get thrown off. I've got stuff on there. Yeah. Wild. Yeah, I'm like excited about this weird YouTube video one, to be honest. I'm done with this.
What?
With this. Like, I'd rather watch funny YouTube videos than the earth is round. That's my argument.
Are you skeptical about everything?
Yeah.
Like, there's no ghosts?
No.
Aliens?
Oh, there could be ghosts, but until I see a ghost,
right.
Not having it.
Oh, that's okay. That's better. Aliens.
I haven't seen one. If I see one, if one trots in, yeah.
So you have to see it.
I have to have some sort of.
So you've been in space.
We send satellites up with work. I've been on a plane.
You can't see the curvature.
We've never had a boat fall off the edge of the earth.
Well,
we've never had it crash into the ice wall.
Maybe you've got particularly good boat pilots.
I can't. Boat pilots. Yeah, maybe be zen.
Well, do you send any boats down to the Arctic?
Yeah. Not once have any of them said, "Oh, geez, I'm just stuck going around the edge." This ice wall's never ending, guys. Like, oh, his fans are waiting. Shall I say? He's on his way. He's on his way. I've said it.
Here he is.
He's here. Do I have to unmute?
If you click on add to stream.
Yes.
How's it going, buddy? He's gone.
Oh.
Oh, don't mute him, I don't think. Or did he mute?
No, he's muted him. He's getting his little goals on.
It might echo otherwise. Tell me if
that sounds great, mate.
That sounds all right. You're not echoing. Yeah, it's not echoing, no?
No, it sounds fine.
Cool, because the speaker's here, but the microphone's here, so I thought maybe it would pick it up. So yes, how you doing? Sorry, I'm late.
Good. No, it's all right. Good to meet you. We had loads of little issues trying to get audio to work so we could hear you and everything else.
Yeah.
But, no. So thanks for coming on, mate.
No problem. Sorry, I'm just putting my phone on Do Not Disturb so it stops beeping. I was trying to get on using my phone, but it just won't let me do it. Well, I can't seem to. It says it doesn't have permission to use the camera, but it has. But anyway, there we go.
So I'm sure that's all live streaming is for. Live streaming is just for problems. That's just what's supposed to happen. So anyway, I'm Lee. Thanks for coming on Musty Audio. This is Suzy. How do you pronounce your first name?
Sorry?
How do you pronounce your first name?
Richard? Or double?
Oh no! What did we see?
Not that.
No, we saw a different name. So sorry, mate. I thought you had what was it?
It wasn't Richard, but that's fine. I can say that.
No, that wasn't me. I'm going to move this camera over here, so I'm sort of looking because I got you up on the screen, but there we go. I'm just Richie or double.
Yeah. Before I watched the interview you did with Alien Addict. I'd already seen the Salman Dan thing, where his sort of debunk thing. But before we start sort of getting into the weeds of stuff, tell us a bit about you, because it's I think the most interesting thing about this sort of stuff is how somebody goes, having essentially the same education that we all have, and then coming to that breaking point where you decide that, you know what, I'm going to go a different way.
It's that's a brilliant question, man. Because it astounds me how people who don't, people that are fully buying into the globe, the heliocentric model, everything that NASA says, everything that we were taught in school, look at people like myself and think that something's happened and we're stupid in some way. We're stupid. We just don't seem to understand. Why can't we get our heads around it? It's an absolutely archaic concept that the earth is flat. I went to a private school. I was identified as being extremely intelligent when I was about 5 years old, and my mum and dad shipped me off to a private school straight away. And I was there for 4 years, and the headmaster asked my parents to take me out before he kicked me out because I didn't really fit in there. But at that private school, it was a slightly better education than in a normal school. I hate to admit it, but when I went into a normal school, I was 4 or 5 years ahead of everybody. I completely accepted everything that I was taught. I thought it was coming from credible sources. I thought that the people that were teaching me were authorities on the subject, or the subjects, and I just took that for granted. Because I thought people in positions of authority and these institutions that are responsible for shaping young people they have to tell the truth. And I just took it for granted that that's what would happen. In 2000, I had December 2000, I had a really serious car accident, and I lost a loved one. It was my fault. I fell asleep at the wheel, lost control of the car. I was put into a medically induced coma, and when I came out of the coma, and once I was released from hospital in 2001, everything was different. And I put it down to being because something so great, so huge and monumentally serious had happened to me, or not happened to me, I'd been responsible for, right? I'd been responsible for it. So that, as an armchair psychologist, because I love psychology, although I didn't study it officially, I didn't study it through normal channels. I do it, myself, reading publications and stuff. I've always analysed myself, so I thought it was just purely down to that. I thought it's no wonder that it seems you're in a different universe, because nothing this serious had ever happened before, and now it has, and you're responsible. So this is a whole new world. The trouble was that didn't explain some of the differences that I was coming across. All of this, because the car accident was my fault. So I had a court case hanging over my head. I was going to go to prison. Well, I went to prison, and then it took 8 years for me to be able to walk properly again, because both my legs were smashed, and I didn't get any physiotherapy or anything. So it was a long, hard recovery, but just by myself, and I probably messed up. That's why it took so long. I was so depressed for so long. In 2013, I was sat there contemplating different ways to commit suicide, thinking, I can't do that. It's not something that I could ever do. I know. I've looked into religion. I'm not going to be Jewish. I'm not going to be Muslim. My grandfather was Muslim. I've tried Christianity. Look, I did Bible study and everything. I did Bible study in prison. I was in the chapel all the time in prison. I took my baptismal vows again. I really embraced it when I was in prison. And when I got out, I realized I wasn't going to be able to maintain that sort of devotion, and it wasn't realistic. In 2013, I thought, okay, well, religion's not doing it. So Buddhism isn't really a religion. Buddhism's more of a way of life, and it seems to be a guide to happiness. Well, that's what it was all about, was Siddhartha's quest for happiness, for eternal happiness and enlightenment. And I wasn't even, I don't think I was even 30 pages in or something, and it mentioned Nibiru. And I thought, what's that? I've never heard of that before. And I looked into it online, and that was my first rabbit hole. So I dove into that rabbit hole and found Sitchin, David Icke, Alex Jones, all of that. And I was really excited about the space stuff because I loved space.
I was 100% in 2012 with the Nibiru idea. I during this 2012, when the idea of some sort of global cataclysm.
The end of the cycle.
I was 100% in with the idea of the dwarf star coming to fuck us up.
Yeah. So while I was on that, while I was looking into all that, I'd had a friend of mine who'd passed some flat earth stuff my way. He'd also chucked me David Icke, but it was all before I was ready to see it. It was like in 2008. And I was like, mate, you've lost the plot. Go on. I don't think I can chat to you anymore, because he was just bombarding me with it. And so I stopped. I kind of cut him out a bit. And then in 2013, when I fell down this Nibiru rabbit hole, I realized they've been lying to us. They've been lying to us about a lot of stuff. And I came across an Eric Dubay video, 200 proofs or whatever it is, from Eric Dubay. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have a look, because they're lying about so much. I'd already come across Jordan Maxwell, and Jordan Maxwell had kind of explained language and banking and religion, and yeah, I thought I'll have a look, and I watched that Eric Dubay video, and at the end of it, all the way through, there wasn't a single thing. I couldn't disagree with anything, and I wanted to be able to. When I first started looking into it, I was looking into it to be able to debunk it myself in my mind, to be able to say, oh yeah, well, I know, you know, that's rubbish. They're talking absolute rubbish. But the things that were being said, I couldn't argue with. And it wasn't until 2015, I ended up in Tenerife, where I was able to actually make observations myself of things that, according to the parameters that they have set in stone about the diameter of the Earth and the radius, according to those parameters, there's a law of curvature that can't be, you just can't ignore it. There's a law of curvature.
8 inches per mile squared, is that?
Mile squared, and the fact that they've set it in stone. The Earth is 25,000 miles in diameter, and it is, and every time they depict it, and even in the depictions where they say this is real footage, and I personally, the real footage that they take, I think they're taking from, they're really, really high up, but they're using widescreen, wide angle lenses and CGI. But it's you can't ignore it. It's, if those parameters weren't there, and if they didn't say that the Earth is a globe, it's a globe. Every single picture, it's a globe. Neil deGrasse Tyson comes out, thinks he's going to be funny, and says, "Well, actually, the Earth is oblate because it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and it's a pear." Mate, if that was the case, then there would be areas on the Earth where the curvature is so great, it would be unavoidable. You would, everybody that, you know, it would be impossible not to measure it at these certain points on the Earth. So it's not oblate. Every picture they give us is a sphere, a globe. So that means there's a law of curvature because it's 25,000 miles in diameter. If they said it was 50,000 miles or 100,000 miles in diameter, the law of curvature would be different. It's not. It is what they set those parameters at. So according to those parameters, the horizon starts for myself at 187 centimeters, 6'2.5". Standing at sea level, horizon starts at between 3.7 and 4 kilometers away. So no, it's 4.2 kilometers away, or 4.7, 3 point something miles. Anyway, that's where the horizon starts, which means that's where the curvature starts. So from that point, every mile squared, a drop of 8 inches, you can measure the distance that you would be able to see the curvature start. And we've got these islands. We've got Gran Canaria, we've got El Hierro, and we've got La Palma, and the islands that I saw that made me realize were El Hierro and La Palma, because they're 125 kilometers away, and they're only 2,600, around 2,600 meters high, the mountains, the peaks of the mountains. So 125 kilometers away, they should be at least partially hidden by the curvature. You've got La Gomera, which stands in between, which is only 40 kilometers away, and that's only 1,500 meters high. So you can get a gauge of how big an island is, you know, and how, I don't know, I can't explain how I gauge it, but you can see that when you see these islands, when they're silhouetted, you can see the whole island. There's a closer observation. I moved to a different side of the island where there's you can see Gran Canaria from that side, and Gran Canaria is 61 kilometers away. That means the curvature it should be enough to cut out the beaches and all the roads and everything that are down near sea level. You shouldn't be able to see anything that's near sea level. It should be hidden behind the curvature. But from the beach with a P900, you could see the roads. You could see the sunlight glinting off the windows on the shops or houses or wherever they are. And if you look at the topography of Gran Canaria, you just shouldn't be able to see them if the Earth is a globe of 25,000 miles circumference. So that's all I'm saying basically, is it's not what they teach us. Now maybe the Earth's bigger, maybe the islands aren't these distances are wrong. It's one or the other, because either way they've set the parameters. So I shouldn't be able to see those islands, and I shouldn't be able to see what I can see of Gran Canaria, all from sea level. The other thing to take into consideration as well is pitches and troughs in the waves, in the swell of water. So when you have a body of water with the, you know, with the moon, with the effects that the moon has on huge bodies of water and everything, waves and all that, between Gran Canaria and Tenerife, it's a really, really deep trench. It's about 1,800 meters deep. So when you work out what the peaks of those waves between, even on a calm day, the swells, you calculate what the swells will be on a calm day between you and Gran Canaria. And technically, when I'm making all those observations and I'm looking from sea level, technically I'm below sea level, because the swells are coming up 60, 80, 100 feet in between me and Gran Canaria. So all of this argument about, oh, you're not stood at sea level, or you haven't taken into consideration, blah, 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 it's all completely redundant, because when you have big bodies of water, deep bodies of water like that, the swell in the way, you know, basically the swell in the ocean is going to be 40, 50 feet above you. So technically, every time you make an observation from sea level, you're below sea level, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, see, I thought with the idea of distances, because I think of all the flat Earth stuff, it's the distance thing I find interesting. The grand conspiracies of it, of the lack of space stations, lack of space, all that sort of stuff, I struggle with that, because I'm still not sure, and I think we can see.
What do you mean? What do you mean lack of space?
Well, some of the flat Earth theories are that there is no space and there's a firmament rather than stars and space.
You know what? Flat Earth theories are they're absolutely bloody ridiculous, because that's all they are. They're theories, aren't they? It's all theories. That's the trouble. All of it is all theories. None of us can actually say. None of us can say. There's no proof of anything, is there really? All there is, there's proof. There's body. There's land mass.
Yeah.
That's separated by ocean, and everywhere that we go is observably flat. And we're told it's these distances, and we calculate. You know, we can drive when we drive in the car or whatever. We can say, yeah, that's the distance. But when we fly in the plane, how do you know? How do we know how far we've actually flown when we've flown in the plane? We've got absolutely no idea. We just go by what they're telling us.
Yeah, we've no idea what speed we're actually going, all that sort of stuff.
Well, we know what speed they tell us we're going at.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you heard the theory about aeroplanes?
No,
they're not, because when you think about it, when you apply critical thought to where do they put the fuel in the airplanes, when they say it's carrying so many thousand gallons of fuel, well, so many thousand gallons of liquid fuel will weigh so much. And where are they putting it? Because there's no room in the aircraft for that much liquid. There isn't any room anywhere. If you look at the schematics of these jet airplanes, there's no room for
I think
that.
my Google Ninja is on schematics for airplanes as we speak. Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about the fuel thing, to be perfectly honest. I've just always took it for granted that there'll be some sort of fuel cell in the underneath of the fuselage or in the wings.
I think jet engines are basically massive. They're just compressors, and they are. I don't think they're using as much fuel as they say. I think all that's part of the scam to get more money out of people. But the whole.
So that would suggest we're not going as far as they say we are.
I think. I don't think distances are what they tell us they are, because that would make everything seem smaller and more accessible. I think there's much more land than they tell us there is. And honestly, we live in paradigms. So everything is a paradigm. Flat Earth, the whole concept of flat Earth is a paradigm, and you have to put parameters to it. You have to say, well, where's the edge, and how does it work? What's keeping the water in? If it's just a flat Earth, and what is it? Is it a big plate, or is it a dish, or what is it? You have to come up with all these parameters. The same with the globe. The reality is that actually, do you need to know? Do any of us actually need to know what's out there, what's outside of this realm?
No, but it's human nature to discover, isn't it? It's human nature to discover and explore.
So imagine if there was a time when we knew what that was up there, and knowing what that was up there empowered us down here. And then somebody that wanted to take control of everything and everyone down here took that knowledge, severed that connection, and retold the story deceitfully to then gain control of perception of what's going on.
The question I'd have there is that, I mean, that would have to be such a huge undertaking.
But do you not see what's going on right now? Is with all the connections that have been made and all the dots that have been connected, this whole thing has been going on for centuries. That we can prove it's been going on for at least 200 years. Mm-hmm. This whole deception, or rather, actually, we can't say how long it's been going on for, because how long have they been rewriting history for, man? They're doing it right now as we speak. They're rewriting history, but how long have they been seriously rewriting history? What if nothing we have been taught at school about history? What if none of it's true?
But what?
Just what if? Just play a thought game. What if none of it's true? What if all of it's just to set a paradigm so that we are stuck in a box, basically, so we're all nicely boxed up, easy to manage?
Well, I mean, all hope at that point would be lost, because already now I think there's maybe, regardless of what people think, like politically, I think like the Donald Trump administration, that 4 years has a lot to do with this. I've never seen such, and rightly so in some cases, I've never seen such distrust in like the news and media. But now we're because we're attacking our own institutions. I mean, we don't like to think of it as it, because everybody finds those people on the internet which they connect with like on a personal level, and they latch onto. But all you're doing is latching onto populism. Then at that point, it doesn't really matter whether what they say is correct. It's just
what about those of us that will only follow credible information, like about the institutions, like our education is a Freemasonic. It's from the Lucifer Trust. Freemasonic education. It's been installed all over the globe through as they started it off with the British Empire, reprogramming, re-educating what they wanted. They re-educated everybody with their story. They took away the history that those nations had, like India. They went into India and completely ravaged it, destroyed it, tore away all their history. Basically told them, no, that's just a load of rubbish, because God's real, God exists, and that what you're teaching is just all heathen rubbish. And so they send a bunch of nuns over with Bibles to everybody and say, no, this is what history is. But the thing is, those people have got their history is what's being talked about now as being, maybe that was real, that was true. It's just a perception of what they're talking about and how they write about it. Our understanding of it is different now because we're living in this age. But when they're talking about the gods, when they're talking, all the different gods, Shiva, it's all different aspects of our own consciousness and ego. We've been completely misled. Absolutely, completely, totally, 100% misled. Because it's easy. It's easier if you get everybody dumb to real facts, real truth, and you feed them a load of garbage from birth, you've got complete control of them. What we consume it's not just about the food that we consume, it's about the information that we consume. Well, we can prove that the food that they're giving us, it's like they're trying to poison us. It's full of crappy GMOs and chemicals and shit that we do not need in our bodies, and they're just having a detrimental effect to our bodies, causing obesity and what's it called? We have the insulin.
Diabetes.
Diabetes and diabetes.
I'm not sure that, like, because of the crap that's in a McDonald's burger, I'm not convinced that the crap that's in a McDonald's burger is being put there by a psychotic clown to kill us. I think it's put there
No, it's
because
not to kill
it's
us.
cheap.
It's not to kill
I
us.
don't even mean to make it stupid. I think it's a profit thing. I think greed is probably a closer answer than like evil.
Right. So you're thinking about you're saying evil. I don't think that evil exists. I think that evil is the perception of just lower frequency emotions and behavior. So fear, hatred and fear, anger, aggression. I mean, it's all linked to fear. So you've got love at this end and fear at this end. That's just like the temperature of something, isn't it? You've got hot.
It's just words to like name an emotional response or an action.
You know how important words are, though. You know how important words are. We don't really realize how important words are. Words are so important because they don't just help us to understand. They help us to connect, and they help us to perceive. Words help us to perceive things. They help us describe our perspective and our perceptions. So, just another thought game. What if the key to reality is your perception?
I can accept that there's a certain amount that we take in that we affect what's around us. I've got a feeling like the best way I can like break it down is when people are watching sport. If you see a big sporting moment, somehow sport generally tends to find itself a point like an exciting end. You know, against all odds, sport tends to end in something exciting, and you tend to know when something's going to happen. And I've often wondered whether that's like a group consciousness behind this one thing, wanting an outcome. I've also wondered whether the chaos we're in right now is due to social media affecting the connection between us all, because we're not supposed to have. I mean, even what we're doing now, as animals, we're not supposed to have the power to do these crazy things. This is the power of the gods.
See, you just said as animals. You think that we're animals.
Yeah.
That's one perception of ourselves that we've been given, that we're just animals. We're just animals that evolved from monkeys, that basically they crawled out of the primordial sludge. So from nothing evolved eventually into what is, you know, sat here, what we're talking to each other. That's, for one thing, evolution, the theory of, still hasn't been proven. They still haven't found the missing link, and you've got countless anthropologists, archaeologists, and historians that are all starting to accept that the out of Africa theory is a complete load of crap. It did not all come out of Africa. They've started talking about it in mainstream. They're talking about the fact that the different Neanderthal and Homo sapiens used to mate. You know, there was all this cross-species sex going on and hybridization, and we are a hybrid species. Everybody, this what's Eurasian, Caucasian is basically has come from the Aryan, the fifth root race, or yeah, Cro-Magnon's fourth, isn't it? Yeah, it's come from the fifth root race, the Aryan race, and that was where it was from that race, from that time, when things started to we started to develop like intelligently. We started to build agriculture and, you know, architecture, agriculture. There's all this unexplained architecture all around. They can't explain it. You know why they can't explain it? Because it doesn't fit into their history. They've woven this narrative about the history of the earth. They've woven it into all their encyclopedias and everything. If you go and look at the money that's behind all of these publications, all the money goes back to the same people. So they're pushing this.
Who are the people?
Huh? Who are they?
People?
I think when you get down to brass tacks, it's the bankers. It's the 13 bloodlines of the Phoenician bankers. I don't know their names. It's not bloody Rothschilds and all that. They're just the front. Rothschild is a stooge. He's a front. These people don't get seen. You don't. I think it's names like Pasteur. The Pasteur. I think
not seen. Like people are. We were. For better or worse, people are into instant gratification. I don't think that we like to pretend.
Only because we've been encouraged to. We only do what we're programmed to do, dude. We only do what we're programmed to do.
I think
and what we're encouraged.
I think there's a lot of natural instinct still left in humans, though. I think one of those is instant gratification. If you're hunter gathering and you see something, you want to take it because it's that, or that opportunity might not come across again. I think there's
you might only be thinking like that because you're thinking, I'm a hunter gatherer. What if you've been taught from birth that you're not a hunter gatherer, you're a custodian? You're a custodian. You are the pinnacle of creation, and it's your job to look after every single living thing on this earth. What if you've been brought up from birth to believe that?
But you'd still have to survive. There would still have to be.
Yeah.
We're
talking about an
ecosystem. We started in civilization.
We're talking about an ecosystem. We're talking about the biological ecosystem of Earth, right? And we've been told that we're a cancer. We're just a cancer on Earth, and we're destroying it. But when you look at all of the indigenous tribes and stuff, they're not. They live they're connected, fully connected to their surroundings, to nature, and they live with nature. They don't live there, and they live in balance with nature. So the people that are trying to control us are keeping us all crammed into these concentrated areas, telling us that all this alone, you can't go here, this has all been done, this has all been escaped, you know, this has all been discovered, this is too dangerous, this doesn't exist. Keep everybody in this, packed in to these nations and countries and cities, and where they can control them. Oh man, I've just had a brain fart and I can't think where I'm going with this. I had it in my head then and it's gone. But yeah, it's gone. Shit. I was on roll then.
Yeah, see, the thing is, with when you talk about like peoples that were like in balance with nature, I mean, I think that it is more what we would have been like when we were hunter-gatherers. That's because that's essentially what they're doing, and I still think there's a lot of like instant gratification with those people. It's just but nobody's brainwashed them.
Actually, I think yes, they still have these desires, and they just like every human has these desires. Mm-hmm. But in these communities, these desires are, you know, we are not animals, right? We might behave like animals, but we're not animals. We're capable of empathy and compassion and unconditional love and those things make us very definitely not animals, right?
Yeah.
We're able to give selflessly, and we're able to take and hurt and kill and steal with intent, with malice, you know? Animals kill because they're scared. Animals kill because they're hungry and they want to eat. Humans kill.
What about dolphins playing with porpoises?
So dolphins playing.
Yeah.
Oh, they hurt them, don't they?
They play tennis with them. They knock them back and forwards to each other until the porpoise is dead.
That's dolphins and killer whales as well.
Yes, and whales as well.
Cats as well. I mean, but is it evil?
No, but I'm just saying that there's less differences. I mean, even I think animals can show empathy. You know, for some crazy reason, the other week, my cat started sucking Susie's finger. You know, it's
understandable.
No, I've looked on Facebook and found on YouTube and found videos of one species helping another, like a cat. There's a fish. Oh no, this was a dog, wasn't it? There was a fish that was out of the water and it was flapping around, and this dog came up and just like nudged it into the water and helped it into the water. And I think I've seen a cat do it as well. A cat help a fish and just knock it back into the water.
That was a stupid cat.
But animals that would normally hunt the animal that they're helping, but they help it. Mm-hmm. It's cool, man. It is cool. I mean, all I can say is ever since I was a kid, I've always had this connection. Like, I don't know, like, it's not a voice, it's a thought. I've always had this thought that there is something outside of here, outside of this realm, God, whatever you want to, the creator. And I wasn't brought up to do that. I wasn't brought up to be religious or to praise God or anything like that. It's just something that I always felt. And I always talked to God. When I came across when, you know, in school, when I was taught the Big Bang Theory and everything, I was trying to explain that to, you know, I was trying to reconcile that with the theory of creation and having been created, because I was always really in awe of how amazing life is, how amazing animals are, insects and plants and just life. It is fascinating, like really, really fascinating. So I always had an interest in where it had started. And when I was told the Big Bang Theory, that didn't make sense to me, that we've all evolved from sludge, that all of this has come from an accident. And I always had things happening where I thought, you know, man, that's not a coincidence. Like things happening that just seem to happen just at the right time, or, you know, prayers that got answered in my perception. So I always had a problem with the theory of evolution, and the fact that it was always still called the theory of evolution, not the law. And when I came across the flat Earth stuff, and when I decided, no, I can't say I'm a flat earther, because look at the ridicule that flat earthers get, and the globe globe believers, they're right. You still can't say as a flat earther where the edge is, or how big the wall is, how high the wall is, or what's keeping the water in, or any of these things. We can't say any of these. So I've gone down a different route, trying to reconcile it all. And I think with what I've found out looking into people like Alistair Crowley, Manly P. Hall, Madame Blavatsky, looking into everything that that's come out about Antarctica and Richard E. Byrd, looking into
the extra land that what was it Richard Byrd that was on the black and white thing, was it?
Yeah, with the Longstein watchmakers.
Yeah,
the Longstein watchmakers thing, where he talks about the minerals and everything that's all over there, and then
the coal and the green land and stuff like that. I thought that's mental.
He died not long after that interview. He was put in hospital. He was hospitalized, and then he died. And it was all, they didn't make a big deal of it. I don't think when he died, it was all a bit quiet. Oh, Richard Byrd's died.
Yeah.
He talked about other stuff as well, man. Really crazy stuff about the UFOs, about the flying saucers that they did battle with in 1956.
That was his cousin, wasn't it? Wasn't it his cousin that wrote that book? Because you got the Admiral Byrd Diaries, but I don't think it was. It was like his cousin or nephew or grandson had come forward and said, "This is Admiral Byrd's Diaries. I definitely didn't write it." Yeah,
I mean, there seems to be a lot of information that's not just come from Admiral Byrd. There's information about Winston Churchill setting up the ICL and stuff. It's all. I've got a there's a Robert Sepper video. Right? Robert Sepper is an anthropologist who says that we didn't come out of Africa and we were. He doesn't say, he can't say how. He's not saying that we're created. He won't say that we're created, but he is saying that we are a hybrid species. We didn't evolve to what we are. We're hybrid, and each one of us that looks different. We look, different nationalities look different because it's a different hybrid. So there are still multiple, there's more than one type of human on Earth at the moment. He did one recently called Escape to Antarctica. Let me find it. I'll send it to you on Skype.
It's all right. Poundland Young Jamie's on it.
Say that again.
Poundland Young Jamie over here is on it.
Right, if you can get it, yeah. Escape to Antarctica, Robert Sepper. It's I don't know where it is like that, because there's like an hour audio of this woman.
Invading Antarctica, is that what it's called?
Oh, it might be Invading Antarctica. It's got like a still grayish. Yeah. This woman is talking in 1982 about the research that she's done into Antarctica and some of the things that she's pulled out. You'll know after the Second World War, there's this theory, conspiracy theory, that Hitler didn't kill himself, and he escaped to Antarctica and then lived out his days in Argentina. And she talks about this, and there's a lot of footage that's shown. It doesn't correlate to what she's saying, but the footage itself proves that they were out there uncovering already established bases. They weren't down there to build, they were down there to uncover stuff that was buried beneath the ice and the snow, and you can see them. They find one bunker or something. They dig into the snow, dig into the ice, and then this guy comes out, and he comes out with an oil lamp, right? And he's showing it, like, look, oil lamp. So it shows that these bases were there and established in the First World War.
Mm.
And Richard E. Byrd was there in 1929. First World War, not second. And there's all this stuff that's been going on in Antarctica, and we're told that Antarctica is just full of emperor penguins. They've signed a treaty in 1956, or was it 56 or 59? They signed the Antarctica Treaty. It's got 100 and what something countries signed up to it now. It's the only treaty on Earth that's been stuck to absolutely perfectly, right, religiously by every single country, no matter if they're at war with each other, who's invading who's terrorizing who, doesn't matter. As far as Antarctica is concerned, everybody's all of one voice and one mind and one thought. We have to protect the penguins.
Everyone likes a penguin.
Right? What she talks about is that there was this elite team or covert team called the Martians. And the Martians were going around mutilating cows and abducting people. And they had advanced technology that allowed them to alter your state of consciousness. So they could basically mind rape you. The sources that went up against Byrd, Admiral Byrd and the Americans, those were all manufactured here on Earth. It's all advanced technology, basically, that Hitler discovered when he went down to Antarctica. There's a story that Hitler went down with so many people. The people that were down there already came, the whatever they are, the Hyperboreans or the Palladians or the Aryans or whatever it is that they are, scanned everybody that was there and only accepted 100 of them in, and then worked with them. You've got this whole story about Hitler chasing after the Aryan race, trying to create this super race of beings, right? All linked to, they've all got blue eyes and blonde hair. Well, when you look into it, that's true. That is true. Everything that was said about that is true. The Aryans appeared like 10,000 years ago. Everybody with blue eyes or blue or green eyes has got one common ancestor from the Aryans, and the Aryans were responsible for much of the building and agriculture, domesticating of pets, all of this. And when you look into the actual ancient history of Tibet, India, China, go to Egypt, go to South America, go to North America, every single one of these cultures, ancient pre-flood culture, or not pre-flood, but ancient culture based on pre-flood beliefs, has got blue-eyed, blonde-haired mummies. So whatever he was researching had some truth to it, there was something in it. And I think what they did was they used him as a scapegoat. I think he actually was uncovering truth. I think free energy and all of that is a reality that is being suppressed at the moment. Because
what would be the reason to suppress it, though? That's what I can never
free
understand.
Energy, what would be the reason to suppress free energy?
Yeah, because realistically,
you don't have to pay for everything, right?
Yeah.
You pay for your travel, pay for your electricity, basically pay for everything. What if you can, if electricity was free, if everything could run on electricity that was free, that came from the ether, then you think how much time and money we'd have on our hands. You wouldn't need to pay to go anywhere.
I mean,
go wherever you wanted for free.
The technology giver would still have the power in that situation. You know, there would still be technological advancements that had to be made past that, or that would be made past that. I see. I don't take that. That as far as like flying saucers or
what if technology? What if technology is a really, really poor imitation of what you can do as a human being?
Maybe, but I mean, again, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that you could find that out with free energy. I don't think that's what's being kept there. You know, I don't think being able to not have to pay an electricity bill or not have to pay to travel is going to keep me from realizing that I can turn into a being of pure energy.
It's if you're having to spend your life and all of your time focused on menial tasks and activities in order to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Of course it does.
Oh no, yeah, you'd have more time to
concentrate on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's you then start going down the road towards communism with things like that. It's one of the reasons I worry about the idea of the universal basic income. And people being.
Do you not see that communism is here now? That you're living. Where are you? Where are you based? In England.
In the Isle of Man.
Right.
For want of better words, yeah.
I don't know what it's like in the Isle of Man, but basically here in Tenerife, and from what I see in England, we're like 2 steps away from total communism. They're enforcing things that go breaking our, like, go against our human rights and our constitutional rights. They're enforcing things that are they're not backed up by science. It's pure propaganda. It's fear-based propaganda to control people. So
how do you feel about the big C? The new big C?
I think that I've probably already had it 100 times in my lifetime. I think that it's been around ever since I was born. I think that what they're doing is right. My whole take on life in general, right, is that we are co-creators of everything that happens, and it's not just through what we do; it's through how we think, what we say, and how we feel. Right? What we think, what we say, how we feel, and what we do. How that all works together, right? And that's what creates reality and the state that we live in. I think this is a realm, the edges of which I don't know where they are. I think that's all in our perception. I think this is a realm. Basically it's a matrix realm that we have certain rights within to create. Right?
Could you define realm? Because I hear like realm thrown around quite a lot, and I often think it means different things to different people.
I think realm means I don't want to say area, because area doesn't sound big enough. Realm is I suppose you could call it a dimension. It's like a dimension. I mean, you've got the spirit realm that we can't see, and the physical three-dimensional realm that we're living in, right? So in those senses, physical realm, it's not a defined area, is it? You can't say the physical realm is a defined area. It's not, or the physical, the spiritual realm. Sorry, the spiritual realm. Yeah, take a left past. Go left past Granada, and you'll find it down. It's not like that. The spiritual realm is this place. It's a different.
It feels like another way of saying dimension, but not using the word dimension. Yeah.
Yeah. So dimension works. So within this realm, we've got certain rights and abilities where we can help things along, right? And collectively, when we all join forces and we do it together, it's the power of it is magnified tenfold, 100-fold, right? History has taught us that we've had all these different people throughout the ages trying to teach us something, and all of them seem to be trying to teach us the same thing, and yet we're going along, we're still carrying on doing what we're doing, right? For me, I'm looking at where they're trying to control us and the people that are trying to control us. And I'm looking at the tools that they're using to try to control us. And all of it's based on perception. All of it. And then when I think about it, I think, oh, hang on a second. I think that religion is just another paradigm to control thought and therefore control actions. It's all based on individuals writing their own versions. So with each individual scripture, there's an imprint of that person's ego in that scripture. Ego as in ego, ID, whatever.
Creative licensing.
Yeah, so we can't. They're just giving the story from their perception. But one thing that I've realised that it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. Nobody else can see the world the way I see it, and I can't seem to see the world. Like I can try to understand, and I can try to see the world, but I don't get why people can't see what I can see, and I think, well, I can't see what you can see, or rather, I'm denying not denying, but I don't agree. So if it's okay for me not to agree, then it's okay for you not to agree. Why should you agree with me? Like, just because I'm saying it, you don't. I'm not. Who am I to say, right? So if we're living in this world where our perception is really important, really, really important, it's clear that it's really important because they tried so hard with religion, and then once we seem to find technology and different ways to present ideas, film and photographs came up, Hollywood. As soon as the projection film and video camera were invented, as soon as they were invented, there was a certain, should we say, class of people that went out and they bought all the rights to every single camera and everything. They own the patent basically to all projection or film. Alfie, sorry, my dog's having a nightmare. So it was obviously really, really important. They saw that through this medium, they were able to mold people's perception. We're now in a place where the media is only saying one story. Doesn't matter what news program you go to, they're all saying the same thing. They're all parroting the same narrative. Every one of them.
As far as the COVID, like,
As far as
standpoint goes
everything,
from media,
man, as far as almost everything.
crazy.
What about the election? They're all going along with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going along with that, and yeah, it's just blatantly obvious to me that the most important thing to them is to keep control of our perception. Well, why is that so important that they need our perception? Because our perception is what directs how we respond, how we either react or respond to what we've been faced with. They want everybody in fear.
Why do you think that is?
Because when you're in fear, you don't think straight. You can't think straight. You can't think clearly. You don't worry about thinking about who's controlling you. You're worrying about the situation. You're not worrying about the people that are pulling the fucking strings. You're worrying about your next door neighbor. Maybe they're going to break into my house and try to steal my food or whatever, you know? They've made everybody scared of each other. They push this fear, pushing it. Every radio station, every TV station, constant fear. Every newspaper, every magazine, everything is pushing fear. Right? Why? Because you don't think straight when you're scared. You do what you're told. If an authority figure comes in, people generally, 9 times out of 10, will hand over their rights to the authority figure just to keep them safe.
Well, I agree, but I also think there's a part of that idea of keeping people safe is to keep it, because we enjoy the boundaries of civilization. I think to a certain point, we've wrote these rules or unwritten rules between us, which, I mean, you can say most of the things that we value come from the 10 Commandments. It's been egged into our consciousness that these things are, it's a pretty good way, religious or not, it's a pretty good way to.
Do you know what the 10 Commandments are? Can you tell me all 10?
No, I can tell you the big ones.
I can't. I don't, because you say that about the 10 Commandments, except, I agree to a point. It's not really the all 10 Commandments, is it, though? It's just the big ones. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
Sloth, greed, but the he's gone.
Frozen. Frozen.
How you feeling?
So good. Yeah, I'll just how do I need to re-add him in from here? There he is.
Got dumped out then.
Yeah. It's clearly someone after us.
What was I saying?
I was saying that I think although there is a certain amount of giving power up, it's the same thing as accepting that although there's a lot of people involved in the police that probably aren't particularly trustworthy, but we put our trust in the police force because we know out there are people that don't really want to do things by the rules and the rules that we have around us.
Right, that
some people are cunts.
Right, that brings to mind anarchy, right? People, the term or the name anarchy has had all kinds of wrong associations made. with it. It's been misused and misdescribed. You know, it's not been described accurately, especially now, right? Anarchy is a land without rulers, not without rules. It's a land without rulers, where every man is responsible for himself, governs himself, is responsible for his own activity. And if he steps out of bounds, or if he or she step out of bounds and they break the rules, then a committee or whatever is, you know,
The government and police force.
Rulers.
Well, yeah, yeah. You say government and police force, but the thing is, I'm not going to give
utopia. You say
there's certainly not a single politician alive today that I respect enough to govern me. They don't have the right to govern me or to govern anybody else because they can't even govern themselves.
Mm-hmm.
This is about holding people accountable. Politicians live in a bubble and they're never held accountable. Tony Blair is still walking around making millions.
Oh, that's more than a dramatic pause.
Rich is he's actually a war criminal. He should actually be tried and sent to either Gitmo or who knows.
Mm-hmm.
What he did was he was complicit in a war crime. They lied through their teeth. That's what they do. That's all they do. They lie. They lie, they lie, they lie, they lie. And people sit there and let them lie. We get taught at school, we get taught at home. I got taught by my parents.
Nope.
What's the chat saying?
The Earth's flat. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not.
Is the mic volume better now?
Back again.
Oh.
Hey, you okay? You keep getting excited, and I think your internet's not having it.
So you talk. If you lie, if you keep lying, nobody will believe it. The big wolf, right?
Mm-hmm.
These, all of them, politicians, leaders, thought leaders, doctors, the WHO, all of them,
mm-hmm.
They're lying, and they're caught lying, and they keep lying. We just keep going along with it. Just keep letting them do it.
The thing is,
they're in authority because they're more important than we are.
Yeah, well, no, they're human, so they're fallible to make mistakes.
No,
not make mistakes.
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. If you're going to be in a position of that much responsibility, no, you are not entitled to make mistakes like these, like the ones they're making. If you're not capable of doing the job without making mistakes like this, these aren't little mistakes, man. These are monumental errors. They're going completely against science. They're telling everybody to mask up when masks are proven to cause you more problems, and they do not stop. They don't stop you.
I'm not a mask guy. I wore masks as much as I had to when they were sort of mandatory on the island. But Realistically, the only sort of major study that's gone into it was the Swedish study, or was it Danish? And that showed that there was little to no effect as far as transmission rates go. I do think it's like dependent on situation. I think it would help in transport. I don't think,
masks were only invented for one thing. They weren't invented to stop transmission. They were invented to stop surgeons spitting into wounds.
Yeah. Well, the idea being though that if it's stopping droplets when you're going down, it's stopping droplets when you're speaking to somebody, isn't it? That's the idea.
Theoretically, right? But look at Fauci. Oh my God, Fauci comes out and says you shouldn't wear. Yeah, you don't need to wear masks. You shouldn't wear masks. There's no reason anybody should be wearing a mask. Then he comes out and says, no, everybody needs to wear a mask. You have to wear a mask. Then he says, oh, no, you should wear 2 masks. If 1 mask is 92% effective, then 2 masks will be 95% or 99% effective. And then maybe if 2 masks, you should wear 3 masks. And then he flip-flops again and said there's no scientific evidence to prove that is the case. And then he flips back again to saying that masks should be worn and they are effective and they stop transmission, right? And everybody seems to have forgotten that we've already proven that 1 mask reduces your oxygen by X amount and increases the carbon dioxide in your blood, increases the acidity level of your blood, can cause what's it called, septic pneumonia or whatever it is. No, but bacterial pneumonia. We've got all of that already just with 1 mask, and they're telling us to put 2 or 3 on. Well, telling them in America. I don't know about in England.
I don't. There's been no 2 masks in the UK. I mean, the thing is, it's this is what gets me. You're like, people have worn masks in like China and Japan like for huge amounts of time for a long time. I'm not
for pollution. It was because of pollution. That's why they wore their masks. Was because of pollution.
But they're not all dropping bacterial pneumonia.
It was to stop the fumes. It had nothing to do with transmission of sickness. It was to stop because of the smog.
I 100% agree with you. But what I mean is the fact that there haven't been any major health problems through what they're doing. I still don't agree with wearing masks for COVID because I think.
Hang on, because that's an assumption. Because they haven't published any studies into how many of their citizens die from respiratory diseases caused by wearing masks. I think
you would find a natural pushback against it with doing it, though, wouldn't you? Considering how long it's been going on for, there'd be because it's not mandatory.
I mean, the CCP. There's another government that lies. They lie through their teeth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. See,
I don't understand why we're taught as kids not to lie, right? And then, it's okay if you're in government. It's okay to lie through your teeth to the people, and take away their liberties for no reason other than to just control them. It's not for any health reason.
What do you think was the catalyst of it? Because I'm personally in between things. I'm in between the Great Reset, and I'm in between the idea that this thing either got out of a lab by accident or on purpose, and the Chinese government essentially propaganded the West into locking down and destroying its financial system. That's where I am on it.
I think that it's all part of the global reset. Yes, I think that Trump was part of part of a mission to expose it, and with the idea of bringing it to a halt in the end. With us, once it's been exposed, all it takes is for us to not consent and to not comply with the crap. That's all it takes. We don't need to get violent. We don't need to get aggressive. We don't need to, God, we could all go out onto the streets and just all hold hands and start singing. And what the hell would they do?
Yeah.
I think it was all put into fast forward. I think they had it was a longer plan. I don't think they wanted to do the reset yet. But I think that because of what was going on with Trump, it all got brought forward, or maybe it got knocked back or something. You know, when Hillary didn't win, I think they thought they had that in the bag. They didn't. Trump came in, upset the apple cart. Now Biden's in. He's just he's resetting it. They're trying in every single way to just erase Trump and everything that he did, and just reinstall their Obama plan. And Biden, king of plagiarism, he doesn't care whose plan it is. He'll just stick his name on it. But it's all, yeah, it's part of this is all part of the reset plan. And Trump was I think Trump was on board for stopping it, because Trump is not a globalist. I don't believe that he's a globalist for a second, because he wouldn't exist. They don't like him. He doesn't like them. He doesn't want to be part of their club. He doesn't want to be a globalist. So that's why he's against it. And you know, he's all about
he's a little town America guy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I looked into him last year quite a lot. I tried to find interviews that, you know, weren't aired much. My take from it is that if there is a true philanthropist out there, Trump is a true philanthropist. I think Trump has helped out individuals with no desire to be paid back or anything for it. He's just happy to help people out. And when they succeed, there's a story of this guy, a black American guy that wanted to start a business. Trump's company lent him the money, and he made a success of the business, went back to Trump with a check to pay him back, and basically they said, no, I don't want it, tore it up, and said he didn't have to pay it back. You just get on and, you know, have a successful business. Trump's all about, because America is a corporation. I don't know what the deal with it now, about Washington, D.C. and all of that, but up until just recently, America was definitely a corporation. The UK is a corporation. There are no nations anymore. There are no nations anymore. They're all corporate entities, and we are all stock of we're all registered stock of the corporate entities. So Trump's a businessman. That's why he was good for America. That's because he wasn't a politician. He was a businessman. Politicians are in it for their own gain, but businessmen, entrepreneurs and businessmen like Donald Trump, they're in it for their own gain. But it's like, in order for that to happen, they need to make everything a success. You know, he wanted to make America the most successful corporation on earth, and he was on track to doing that, man. He was right on track to doing that. Nobody can disagree with that. The results that he had, the economy, and the economy started to come back even during during COVID, because of what he was doing. So yeah, it's all part of this reset thing. It's been implemented by the people behind what we perceive as the deep state, which we always knew existed, because I can remember having conversations with my dad back in the 90s about the shadow government.
Yeah, there's always been the idea of a shadowy hand that pulls the strings, and it's whenever you have politicians which have benefactors and like fundraisers, you're always going to get people that have power over people that aren't in the spotlight.
What? Say again?
If you have people that are putting money into politicians to help them run, and like X amount of money to go in here and there, it's always, there's always going to have to be that sort of problem. But we're coming up here to the hour and a half mark on the podcast, and just before we sort of start wrapping it up, I just wanted to come back to the like with the title of the podcast, with it being Glow Birth Denier, because we just started to get into like what you thought, or what because I know we spoke about the like the crazy sort of myriad of theories about what flat Earth is and that sort of thing. I want to know what you think it is. Like, what's your, if someone had to put down, like, what's your best guess of what we live on? What is it?
I believe that we live in a realm that was essentially created for us to exist within, where we could exist as spiritual light energy beings in a physical form. But it's all about, I think evolution exists, but it's an evolution of consciousness. I think consciousness is a marriage between your soul and your ego. Until you're spiritually awakened, until you've realized that you have a soul as well as an ego, there are two aspects to your being. That's when you become conscious. That's when you become potentially a consciously co-creating being, where you are able to focus your attention, focus your intention and your emotion and everything into something and make it manifest, make it real. And you can move mountains if you believe it. If you I was always taught when I was a kid, you can do anything you put your mind to. Absolutely anything you put your mind to, you can do. And then when you go to scriptures, Jesus says, if you can make your heart and your mind one, you can ask the mountain to move and it will move. So heart and mind, ego and soul, it's about finding because this is a realm of duality where everything has its opposite. And what we have to do within the realm, in order to gain control of the abilities that we have as a, they're inherent in us, but they have to be activated. You need to find a balance in your being, so you're not ruled by your ego, and you're not living with your head in the clouds and spirit all the time. You can find a nice healthy balance where your left brain and your right brain are working together. This male, female, I think it's all linked to the male and female divine. It's all part of creation and creating, right? And when you're asleep, when you haven't realized that what they're telling us isn't the truth and there's something much, much bigger going on, spiritually and everything, there are, for me, I call them cheeky monkeys, but there's entity around playing with us, fucking around with us, messing with our thoughts, messing with our mainly with our thoughts, changing our perceptions of things to make us behave in certain ways, to create these situations that will generally end up in either anxiety or pain or chaos or whatever, because they live on that. They like that energy. They're energy vampires or whatever, so they've been given all different names: jinn, archons, demons, all of those names. I call them cheeky monkeys because I go back to how important language is and how important names are. And so when you take a name like jinn or demon, it's got an entire narrative attached to it, and that narrative is based in fear. So when you call that thing a demon or a jinn, you're basically giving it armor and a sword. You're basically you're giving it its power already, because there's this whole narrative attached to that name. But we're the creators, right? And that's what, so soulless beings, people that have sold their soul for greed and they're living purely on their ego, they can't create. They cannot create anything. They have no imagination. All they can do is imitate. All they can do is copy and imitate and bastardize and change and degrade, right? So they use us. They control our perception so that we create what they want. That's why they've gone absolutely all out to control the narrative with what's going on right now. Control the narrative, control the perception, keep everybody in fear, and then they're easier to control. And they do what you want them to do. So they've created this whole fear paradigm where people are scared of each other, scared of this tiny virus that might be flying through the air to come and kill them. All it is, the name that they've given it, the name that they call it in the UK, they don't call it the, I thought of a different way of saying it, 91, I was thinking of COVID backwards. COVID backwards. My brain's not working quick enough. Yeah, so that they don't call it that in the UK. They call it that in America. In the UK, they're calling it the other thing, right? The Miley Cyrus, the Crown Miley Cyrus. Well, that is what has existed always, and that's the thing that I say. That's the common cold. That's the common cold and flu. It's always existed, and that's what they're calling it in the UK. They're still calling it that. So they've got everybody absolutely terrified of something that's always existed, because the coronaviruses have always existed. They've not defined it as that other thing with the number 19 in it, because they don't want to go out and say that, because they know that that particular thing still hasn't been isolated in a petri dish. They still haven't isolated it. So that's why they've had to go with the mRNA vaccine, because they can't create a standard vaccine for it, because they've never isolated it.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I don't go with the non-COVID. Like, it's not a thing. I can't buy it. I don't think it's as dangerous as what we're being led to believe. But I've got a good friend, which has been a guest on this show, who's a doctor. He's a respiratory specialist. He's on the COVID ward in a hospital in the UK, and he's got 300 patients in there with something that he's explained to me. That these people, when they die of this, are not dying like people would die from flu. He said it's not the same thing.
Say that again, because
of the way he's saying, when people are dying from this, the idea of it is, if with the I'm going to bastardize this because I'm not a doctor, but if the blood saturation drops, he said usually when you're hitting sort of 70% blood oxygen, like people are already starting to drift out and out of consciousness, they're already on the way out. He said these patients are dropping down to 60% blood oxygen without being able to sort it out, and he has to tell these people they're going to die, and there's nothing he can do about it. And it isn't the same as flu, but I will agree that.
Can you explain? Can you tell me why these people haven't had hydroxychloroquine?
No, I can't. I think the treatments for COVID have been fucked over for political reasons.
and for financial reasons as well.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. But the whole the idea of this thing not actually being a real thing, I find
I mean,
hard to believe. I think the reactions overreach the like what's going on there.
There's something in the story that something came out of Wuhan. Right? There's something in that, except I've got a whole different theory about what viruses are as well, man. So it's funny, isn't it? Because since my perception of viruses changed, I've not been sick, and it's been over a year. And I used to get sick at least twice a year. So I've gone.
I haven't been sick for a year, but it's because I started taking multivitamins and vitamin D.
It's weird, man. It's weird. Like, I can't say it's because of masks, because I don't. The only time I wear my mask is when I go into a supermarket or if I see a policeman. Because here in Tenerife, I mean, if you get funny with them about wearing a mask, they'll just get the baton out and smash you around the head with it. No, that's how bad it is here. The police are a law unto themselves, basically.
Crazy.
Complete law unto themselves. So it's got nothing to do with masks, because I don't wash my hands religiously, and I touch banisters, and it's got nothing to do with that, man. And I'm putting it down to my perception, because one of the things when my perception changed was I said, all right, or when I wanted to change my perception, I said, I'm going to download one of these EMF reader things and see if it works. All right. So I downloaded one, held it near the phone, near the computer and stuff. And it could even tell me, like, there's a computer and this is a phone, whatever. So I thought, okay, this obviously works. When I was coming down 5 or 6 times last year, I came down with the symptoms of the flu, right? Full on. Came down, like, I woke up in the morning and I just felt like absolute shit, really achy, like almost feverish, felt crap. Thought, oh man. In the past, I would have thought, oh, that's it. Oh, I've got the flu. Oh, I've got man cold, whatever. Man flu. And then I'd get back into bed and I would be sick for a few days. This time I would say, what does the EMF reader say? 560. Wow, that's really high. Okay, maybe I'm feeling like this because the EMF in my room right now is 560 megahertz or whatever it is. Go to bed, like, just ride it out, feeling like shit, but just drinking water and thinking to myself, I'm not sick. I'm just reacting to this EMF. Go to sleep, go to bed, wake up the next day feeling, even later on that day, start to feel fine. Check the readings, gone down to 40. Okay. Every time I felt like that, check the reading, and 300. Every time it was above 300, but quite a lot of the time it was around 560. And readings would drop and I'd stop feeling like shit. And I think a lot of illness is psychosomatic, because in the past I thought,
maybe your investment in the EMF reader might be psychosomatic.
The EMF reader.
Yeah,
the EMF reader. How could that be psychosomatic? How could the EMF?
Were you only checking the EMF meter when you woke up feeling sick, or were you just checking it now and again? Because if you just checked it now and again and noticed it was high one day, and then the next day started to feel sick.
Oh no, I was checking it all the time. It was always the readings generally in my room are around between 40 and 50. All right. So when I felt sick, I would check them, and they were higher. It wasn't only, I didn't only check it when I felt sick. I didn't do it a scientific way either. I didn't record it, or it was just for my own, for myself. And dude, I haven't been sick. I haven't been sick since making that connection between those symptoms and feeling bad. Now, I'm not saying that those symptoms that it's because of EMF and all, you know, all of this is because of EMF. Or I suppose actually, I guess I am. Any respiratory illness, I think, is linked to frequencies that are in the air, and it's not got anything to do with a virus. I don't think those viruses exist.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's like bacteria exists, and chlamydia exists, and herpes exists. They're viruses. They're living. They're actual living viruses. But I think that what they're recording with the coronavirus and stuff like that, I think that is that's a byproduct of the cells basically purging, reacting to so phlegm is your body purging shit that you've absorbed.
Yeah.
Ever since I changed my perception of that, and when I get really snotty, and you know, now I think, oh, I'm just purging. I've just obviously taken in lots of bad energy, and maybe I've been eating some shitty food, and I'm just purging. And because of that, it's a psychosomatic, and I don't get sick. Whereas all the time in the past I would.
Yeah, but how do you explain people that have got colds that come home with a cold and then give a cold to their family?
Well, the family's in the same. You know, if it is EMF, then it could be just all connected, isn't it? It's just they just start to purge.
Yeah, I don't know. But look, we've been running here for an hour and 47 minutes, so I'm going to have to
go until the cars come home.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on, mate. It's been really interesting, and I've enjoyed speaking to you.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what the chat room was saying. I don't know what comments.
The chat room have been arguing with each other. It's been not flat earthy enough for some people, too flat earthy enough for others. So yeah,
Steve, I'll say it again before we finish. Flat Earth is a paradigm set to fix your perception, set to keep you in a box. And all I'm saying is that it's not the globe that they teach us it is. I'm globe denier, and it's not what they teach us. That's all I'm saying. I won't set the parameters of this earth.
It's good to meet you, buddy. I'm sure we'll get you on here again someday in the future.
Thank you very much, man.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.